You're very welcome. You're very welcome to the House of Football Carnage, the House of Liverpool, the House of the Table Topping Liverpool, the House of the next to the pretty much to the next round of the Champions League Liverpool. We are here, people, live and exclusive. A couple of us have got new cameras looking HD. A couple of us are looking like we're playing in the World Championship of Snooker. We'll get to that. We're gonna why are you all laughing like you don't even know who I'm talking about? It could be you, and it could be Conrad.
Nah, we know who you're talking about.
Oh, you do you? Okay. But listen, people, you're very welcome. Smash the like on your way in. We're here to talk about Liverpool, of course, and all things surrounding Liverpool, table topping Liverpool. Liverpool 2, Brighton 1. That doesn't tell the story of an 3 p.m. Saturday afternoon kickoff. You think to yourself, if you look back and you fell off, if you fell out of a different planet and you looked at the score, 2-1 Brighton on a Saturday, 3 p.m., standard. Liverpool probably took 2-0 lead and Brighton maybe scored an equalizer. No. It was not that. And of course, we will talk back. Look forward to the return of the legend, that is Xabi Alonso. And is he a legend? We may have a little conversation between us. Does he count as a legend? Of course, to come and talk to me, or I should say virtually come to me and talk to me, I have the wonderful, eloquently spoken champion of the crucible, Conrad.
Stephen Henry. Yeah, that's brilliant.
How you doing, pal?
Yeah, I'm good. I have came straight from work, guys, so bear that in mind. That's why I don't just wear a shirt and the
You
gilet.
look amazing, sir. You look amazing. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
You know me. Always a
Yeah,
prick.
no, I liked it, mate. Listen, Scotland had a very good record for snooker players at a certain moment in history, didn't they? But yeah, I would have loved. I wish I'd actually stuck with snooker because right now there seems to be a big lull in young players coming through. Because Ronnie
I haven't
O'Sullivan,
followed it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I don't even know who's hot and who's not.
Ronnie O'Sullivan seems to still be winning championships. He's about 41, 42.
Wow.
So, yeah. But I'm doing good, mate. I'm doing good. Some weekends, as you say, not your typical 3 o'clock kickoffs. That's usually a Super Sunday or a momentous Monday, they would say. But crazy weekend, and I'm looking forward to chatting about it. And also, I think it's kind of been forgotten about. Tomorrow's game's actually quite a firecracker of a game when you think about it. I think because Bayern probably haven't started as well, still pretty good though, and still a team with a lot of exciting players. So looking forward to chatting about that as well, mate.
We have some usuals in the chat. We have some newbies in the chat. Martin, I haven't seen you before. He says, hi, guys. Hi back, Martin. Hi, Martin. Hello. Hackers are regular. VDO, I haven't seen you before, but welcome very much. Big up Grizz and the panel. Ayush is, of course, my good friend. Big up to the panel and Grizz. Smash the like button and an amazing panel. Thank you very much. Liverbird, of course, a regular. Great panel. Evening, gents. Smash the likes for the rivals. Cry-arsing over the top of the league table reds. Alex is happy to see you. Great to see Conroy back. He sends in the first super chat of the night. He says, great to see Conroy back. Missed you, mate. We all missed you, Conroy. Not only Alex. We can't show our appreciation.
Too busy winning crucibles, mate. Just too busy. Just
it is what it is.
No, thanks, mate. Cheers.
Big up our resident Elvis Presley lookalike. Big up the panel. He says, smash the likes, Ganto. Big up Ganto every single time. Keith, you're looking Chris. Keith, this new camera has done you wonders, man. What are you telling me?
I just keep staring at myself, to be honest with you.
You're too much.
I can tell, man.
I mean, wow. I look good, man. You know what I mean?
It's like Keith, that was good when it was like I was going to swear, but let's say a rubbish camera. So now it's in HD. Now it's 4K.
Now 4K. Yeah. This is what I'm saying. You get me in all of me in 4K. It's a new era, Grizz. You know, the camera's looking good. I've got my mic here as well. Hopefully, I can be heard and seen to celebrate what was for me probably one of the best single game week.
Oh, here we go. He's gonna do this. But do you remember last time ends? He was like probably the best European performance. Was it the best? Was it performance?
Best European performance? He said away performance.
Best European performance, and now you're saying this is the most enjoyable weekend gone.
Mate, you know, they're like if Carlsberg. I don't like Carlsberg, so I'm not gonna say Carlsberg.
Okay, don't big it up. Yeah.
Morley's did weekends. Yeah, if Morley's did weekends, that would be the best weekend I've ever had. It was absolutely sensational. Can't wait to get stuck into the game because that was less sensational, but everything that happened around it, wow, what a weekend. So can't wait to chat about it.
Enzo, what are you telling me, bro? How you doing? How did your weekend go? How's your mood right now? I have been asked to ask you a few agenda-driven questions about you, so you will be put on the spotlight today as well, brother. For
No
some
problem.
takes as well, but we will get there.
I
think you know who they will be or where they will be directed at, but I won't give too much away.
Yeah, we'll wait and see what kind of questions there are.
Yeah.
I appreciate the invite as always, man. Can't wait to talk about Liverpool. Talk about obviously, Alonso coming back as well. Shout out to Conroy, first time doing a stream with you as well. So should be an interesting conversation, man. But all good. Can't wait, man.
Yeah, man. Look, we have to. The weekend was the weekend, as Keith says. He's right, man. Amazing weekend. Like, I can't remember the last time a set of results went our way and we capitalized, even though it wasn't a matter of seeing the results and then capitalizing, because Man City were playing at the same time as us, right? And obviously Newcastle have done the business earlier on in the day. Conroy, I had a feeling, and I tweeted it and I put it out in the atmosphere. And don't ask me why and what made me have that feeling. I just thought this weekend, there's something in this weekend that tells me the 3 points will feel what I meant. To be honest with you, I didn't even word the tweet very well, and I didn't even express what I meant very well. I'm not going to lie. It was very scrambled. But what I meant was, I feel as though these 3 points will feel sweeter and more relevant at the end of the game week. That's what I meant. And however I expressed it, but that's what I meant. Does these 3 points mean anything to you? I know 3 points are 3 points at the end of the day. And I know what you're like when you say these ones, but yeah. How do you feel before and how do you feel after the Lord Mayor show, before we get into the Lord Mayor show?
Yeah. Do you know what, Grizz? I heard a few previews for the Newcastle game, and I don't know if you guys agree. I heard a lot of stuff that I disagreed with. It was a bit like, Newcastle struggle against Arsenal. Arsenal got a great record, but I feel like, especially since Eddie Howe's been there, even the games that they've maybe won, they've been close battles. Even the 0-0 2 seasons ago at the Emirates. So I felt like there's been a bit of bite between both the teams. So I actually reckon St James's Park, 12:30 kickoff. Newcastle haven't been amazing. I don't think they've been like poor, as people have said this season. I think they've been okay. A lot of injuries. I think they would be right up for it, especially after the Chelsea result during the week, which I think was massive for the confidence, especially that team. So I was a bit like yourself, Chris. I had a funny feeling. Now, what I will say is I didn't think in a month of Sundays that there'd be 2 rivals in a title race dropping it. Because usually, I don't have the stats in front of me, guys, but off memory, if one team's drop points, there's not even that many free title races or whatever you want to say it. Usually the other 2 would capitalise. It's not very often that 2 teams would lose and the other wins. That doesn't, in my memory, that doesn't happen that often. So going into it, I was feeling that yes, one team would drop points, but I didn't think it'd be both. And I have to say, we're going to go into our game, but I don't know if you've seen the highlights. I thought no one is talking enough about how good Bournemouth were in that game. Like, seriously, I know Man City aren't great, but Bournemouth were outstanding. And I forget the Bournemouth chairman. I forget his name. I don't know if you know, Grizz. I can't remember. He's the American owner. But what someone said was, everyone, they let Gary O'Neill know there was outrage, there was a meltdown because they wanted to be more progressive and get a better manager. Now this guy looks like that's a genius move now, because what's the Bournemouth manager's name again? Is it Areola?
Areola. Yeah.
Areola. Outstanding. And I have to say, I watched the extended highlights of that game and I thought they were absolutely brilliant. And it's Barclays Premier League. Anything can happen. But
they
were brilliant.
Michael B. Jordan. He's got a 50% stake in Bournemouth.
I don't know.
No way.
Yeah, he's one of the guys involved. Yeah.
Wow.
He's part of that conglomerate. I think it's run by Bill Foley, but his conglomerate that these Americans get involved in football in this way.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan, man.
Interesting.
It's been impressive. Their decision making has been very good though. But I was really impressed with them in that game, to be honest. They could have scored about 4 or 5 if you actually watched the game properly. Missed some serious chances. But yeah, I was excited, Grizz, but to be honest, mate, we're going to speak about it. During the game, did you not, this is a question to everyone, did you not feel like last season, because I feel like there's a similar weekend last season where it was like a Saturday game and we had a chance to take advantage and we just didn't. I can't remember the exact game, Crystal Palace, and we just flattered to deceive on the day, and you felt like it was just going to be another one of those damp squibs, I should say. Not damp squid, as I found out. Got a few phrases wrong recently, not as damp squib. So yeah, that was my thoughts going into it, mate.
Look, do you know what, Conor? You're spot on. I didn't remember that. I knew there was something similar that happened last season, but you're spot on. There was a feeling of that, and we'll get into it why there was a feeling of that. Daniel Agger, this is the original Daniel Agger, by the way. He says, Uncle Grizz. Don't know how. Actually, it's not, because he wouldn't be calling me uncle. But love the channel. What to do with Maka? Question mark. Should he be benched or play as the 10? Just doesn't seem his old self. Pick up the panel. That was one of the talking points, actually, Daniel Agger. Thank you very much for the super chat. We'll get into performances of individuals and what should be done and should they be playing tomorrow. Alex says, guess who brought Areola to Bournemouth? Hughes. Amazing. Exactly. It's very true. Crowd was roaring. We need more of that in Anfield. Keith, look, the results are the results, but at the end of the day, you got to look after yourself. I'm going to bring up the lineups and we're going to get tucked in, man. What was the lineup saying, man? Hold on. Deny. What's going on here? Yeah, what's going on with the lineups? What's your thoughts when the lineups come out? The team is selected. Any shocks? Anything that you thought, made you sort of stand up and take note, but you thought, nah, tried, tested, and we're good to go?
Yeah, I thought we spoke about lengths the Costa Simicas Robertson situation in the last stream. So that was quite a surprise, actually, that Slot opted for Robertson in the cup and then Costas in the league game. I thought that was pretty eye-opening. Now I know Slot is playing it down a little bit, suggesting that Robertson was injured, didn't have a preseason. He's still trying to come up to speed. But I just find his usage of Costa Simicas really, really interesting. I mean, we're talking about a player who, when fit and available, even last season, Klopp would probably at times opt for Joe Gomez in that left back position over Costas when Robertson was injured, if my memory serves me correct, when Gomez had a run in the team. And he would come in and out, but he really felt like he was on the peripheral. Under Slot, he feels like he's very much part of the first 11. He's pushing, he's knocking the door. And I think, as we can see by the rating of his performance on the app that you use, he seems to be vindicated every time he starts him. So it's quite an interesting situation developing in that left-back situation. Whether that's long-term or not, I don't know. I thought the team kind of picked itself other than that. I didn't really see many surprises, to be honest. Only that Costas really is now knocking on that door. Could be a first-choice left-back moving forward. So really, really interesting. Just come off a big win against Brighton. So Cody Gakpo starting as well. I think, it's nice to see Slot allowing him to, just had a brilliant game against Brighton away. Why not start him in the home fixture instead of chopping and change with Diaz all the time? You don't have to chop and change for the sake of chopping and changing. Although I would be very surprised if Diaz doesn't start tomorrow. But other than that, there was no big surprises. I mean, I know we're going to get, the Alexis McAllister. I'm not surprised that he starts. But I think we'll discuss a little bit more about, the situation going on between him and
should he start moving on? Yeah,
etc. But yeah, other than that, I thought we had more than enough to win this football match. And first 45 didn't tell me that we could.
And I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what you're like with opposition and other teams' lineups. I know Conrad takes a keen interest in Brighton stuff, but I'm gonna come to him as well in a bit about. I looked at that Brighton team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't see Baleba, I didn't see Pedro, I didn't see Ferguson, I didn't see Adingra, and I didn't see Minter, and I didn't see Lewis Dunk. I've just named you, in my opinion, 4 or 5 very, very good players that get into a lot of Premier League teams. So I thought to myself, you know what? It might just be a cozy afternoon at Anfield, We might just tuck these in very nicely. This doesn't look like the Brighton team that we've seen or played in the past, yeah? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to lie. Ever since that final whistle, the reason why I brought up the Brighton lineup is I need to study more of these boys. They put on quite a show in that first 45 minutes. So was it a 45 minutes of we were so atrocious, or were Brighton amazing?
I think it's a blend of both things. I think it's us not starting games well. We've seen that consistently maybe from say the Chelsea game where we, first off, we're not at the races, we're taking our time to kind of get into the game. But you've mentioned some key players. We already knew about the Dunk and the Pedro one because obviously we played them in midweek and we knew that those two was out. So them missing, I was kind of okay with. We saw Ferguson. He's obviously come back from an injury. We saw him in the game against us. I think it took him about till the 20th minute to kind of get a touch in the game anyway. So even if he was on the team sheet, I wasn't fearing him from what I saw midweek. So getting people like Matoma was the one that I know in the past has kind of caused us a lot of problems, going out, whoever's that right back, if it's Trent, and just going by them with ease and creating opportunities. Obviously, having Estepinho back as well at left back, you're like, right, Mo Salah is in for a tough game because this guy is strong, he's aggressive, he doubles up, he gets forward and he gets crosses into the box. But the one that I think a lot of people don't look at is Igor, man. I'm not going to say I know this guy, and I know about him a lot, but from what I've seen from this guy, honestly, from last season and this season, he's a solid left back, left-footed, strong. He looks so calm and reassuring on the ball. And that helps when they want to play out from the back because you just give it to him, he touches it, plays it wide. You can give it to him under pressure and he can play out. But you're like Belabor. Obviously, this is his first season. So they're missing him. You're like, okay, they're not normally someone that they would miss. He's done really well since he stepped in, but still very young. Still learning his craft. I've heard, obviously, links of us being linked with him, whether that's true or not. Who knows? But it's a bit of both for me, Grizz. I think Liverpool just needs to start game a little bit better. I don't know if we're in that mode of either giving the opposition a lot more, credit in terms of how well we think they are, in terms of how they set up and stuff like that. But it feels once we go, right, they're not as good as us, boys. Let's just get into this game. Let's just show them what we're about. It changes. And I've seen that now in the Chelsea second half, Arsenal second half, RB's Leipzig second half, the Brighton, even the first game when we played them, the second half was way better. And then now we played them again and the second half were better. So I just think it's a bit of both. We just need to, fix up, man, the way we start these games, man. I'm not saying we need to be arrogant. I just think, look, they're where they are for a reason, and we are where we are for a reason. We have to kind of go into the games in that kind of mode. Not saying disrespect the opponents, but that extra 10%, I don't need that in the second half because sometimes that could mean you're chasing a game. Where in the first half, you could put the game away and then have a little breather in the second half. So, yeah, I think it's a bit of both, but they're missing players. Those are big players missing, to be fair. Pedro for me as well, because I rate him a lot.
Conroy, we've spoken about, or I mentioned the players and En's recognized that players missing. I'm just amazed at the recruitment.
Unbelievable.
Levels of this Brighton. Now, I want to focus, and we're going to talk about Liverpool, and this is Liverpool channel and show, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He's mentioned Igor, right? But the two guys in midfield, I have never heard of them before. I've heard of them because when you look at FPL options, you go through every team's options and I've read them. I've never seen or focused or concentrated them. Rutter, we know from Leeds, and as well, we know Welbeck, we know right winger who was a fullback but played 30, the goal scorer, Kadioglu. Omar's in the building. Let me know how you say his name. And Mitoma, we know who's fantastic, and he was so good, by the way. By the way, Mitoma is top 3-4 team player, man. Easy. Those two in midfield, Conroy, I was so impressed by their ability to evade the press. And I know Enz has been saying we need to start faster. I'm more inclined to give them the credit. I thought they were so good.
I think we were shocked at how brave they were as well. And it doesn't matter if you're the star signing or you're coming off the bench. Let's not forget Matt O'Reilly was signed for 30 million and got injured in his first game as well. So that's another player who's not there. So let's remember Billy Gilmore at Napoli was a centre mid. Pascal Gross, one of the best players Brighton have had in the Premier League, sold in the summer. Just replace these players. I think Gruda came on as well. I know he made a mistake, but they're all brave players. But they're not just brave; they're good players. It's not as if I'm confident. They're good players, and they're just that principle. However they get these players, and even the manager, I'm actually been quite impressed with him. Yeah, I do get what you're saying, Enz. But the one thing I would say is Brighton at the Emirates, I still thought they caused Arsenal problems even before the sending off. And I know it was Pedro and stuff. I feel like to me, they're not like a they have that ability, but they're going to be more inconsistent because they're obviously not a top team. They've not got maybe the depth of squad and maybe not as much Premier League proven players. So when you've got players like that, they can also be a bit inconsistent. But they rose to the occasion at Anfield. I thought they were outstanding. I genuinely think Mitoma might be one of the best players to watch in the Premier League. Like, I can't believe I'm wanting us to win, and I'm seeing him dribble, and I'm like, this guy is ridiculous. Like, it's just, I don't know. It reminds me a bit of Mahrez, his touch when it comes the way he touches it first time, just in the direction he plays the ball. He is there's conversations we're going to have about transfers at one point between Brian and Mbeumo and Mitoma right now. I think there's some serious underrated players in the Premier League. But yeah,
bro, I'm with you.
Yeah.
You know what? As I was watching Mitoma, we've seen him last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've actually seen him and focused on him. I don't know why, but actually I do know why, because they were cooking us in that first half. Every single attack, controlled possession, under pressure, turns, evading the press, running at us. Everything that we do, they were doing to teams. Everything we do to teams, they were doing to us.
Yeah.
And Mitoma was the hub of everything in that first half. And those two guys in the midfield, people, keep an eye on them. All you FPL kings and this and that. I don't know how you're doing, Keith. Normally you're up there, but last 2 seasons you've been relegation fodder apparently.
Nah, not this time, man. Top 300, top 300k now. Yeah. I mean, business.
Smashed it. Yeah. Yo, what's good is in the house talking about business. Is pretty much our channel sponsor. He says, where is he gone? Sorry. He says 45 minutes of Slot allowing the opposition to easily play it centrally. The op overloading us in practically every phase from build up to middle to wings. Tactically woeful first half on Slot, in my opinion. Keith, I'm going to come to you. Are you backing that? Was it down to tactical setup, that opening 45 minutes? So we've discussed Brighton's side of things and their players, and look, big up to them, as I said. But focusing on us, I couldn't work out. I know we've been discussing this form of press, which is 4-2-4, almost, where the front four, like Szoboszlai is pressing as a striker, basically. And of course, you've got your other three. But if teams are brave and good enough, that can be broken. If you break that initial 4-man press, you're then, if you have an overloaded midfield like Brighton did, you're then suddenly pretty much 4 against 2 in midfield every single time against us. Is that what you're seeing as well, or is there something else on your mind?
For me, I think the reason why it's happening probably a lot more often last few games is because Diogo Jota's not playing. I've said it before and I say it again. There was a reason why he was starting every single football match despite not scoring goals. I think in that centralized pressing area of our forwards, Darwin Núñez, it's not a slight on Núñez. I think his work rate when teams do bypass the press and we start to have key battles kind of in our own half, in the wings or in the middle, I think his work rate in those areas has been phenomenal. And I think he's been really up for the challenge of being defensive. But in the press, I just don't feel like he has the intelligence or the body positionings to really be able to stifle the build-up play that a lot of these teams like Brighton want to do, right? Because it's not just Brighton. There's a lot of teams now that want to be braver on the ball. They want to overload 2-man midfields. We've kind of moved away from the 3-man midfields for a lot of teams, and now a lot of teams are playing with 2-man midfields and more of a number 10. A lot of the top teams are playing this way. So if you're brave enough, like Brighton, to play through it and you've got the quality to do so, you're always going to cause trouble. However, while I agree that it was a very frustrating first half, there comes risk with it. And for me, I thought there was a couple of times, even in that first half, where when we did win our duels and when we didn't allow Brighton to kind of get into more dangerous scenarios and we turned over possession, all of a sudden we had an opportunity to score. Darwin Núñez arguably had the best chance before Brighton scored. Now, it's ironic because I was watching on the training videos, Darwin Núñez, Salah and Szoboszlai all training, bending it into the top corner. And who was the first one to drop out of that? They were having a knockout. So who was the first one to drop out of that? Darwin Núñez. He has the exact same chance that he was training on all week, and he just couldn't bend it into that top corner. So, as I said, you got to be brave to do that with Brighton against Liverpool. Sometimes you are going to get your chances, or you're going to get your opportunities, and it's going to feel uncomfortable for us as a team because we want to play with a two-man midfield. But I still don't think it was a bad tactical choice, because I still think that I actually think that it was more Brighton being prepared to be brave and being prepared to take the game to us.
Are you suggesting that there's not many teams that can do that? So I think what you're trying to say is we should persist with this tactic, because not many teams will be able to break it and beat it. And even if they do break it and beat it, we are still a threat, even though they'll get into our midfield, because they weren't peppering us with chances per se, were they? No, it was like just a lot of dangerous scenarios that didn't lead to much, apart from the goal that we're going to speak to. Oh, and another chance, of course, yeah.
And the other thing is, I think, our philosophy pre-Slot was to win the ball as aggressively and as high up the pitch as possible to be closer to goal. That was Klopp's big philosophy, right, with counter-pressing. I just think that Slot is much more comfortable saying, do you know what? I don't mind if we don't win from our first press, as long as we win the duels in our own half. And Liverpool, the thing with Liverpool is, once we win our duels, we are by far the best transition football team in Premier League. Every goal, most goals that we score is on transition. We're the best at it. It's like our bread and butter. We've been doing it for so many years. And I think that's the risk and reward you take as a team as Brighton. Yeah, okay, you overload our midfield. Maybe you send out an extra man. Maybe you push overload on the wide areas, which Brighton were doing really, really well. You take that risk, and it could pull off, which it did. But as you'll see from obviously both of our goals we scored as well, that does come with that risk. It gives us more opportunities to go into transition. It gives us more space. And when we go into a 3v3 situation or a 4v3 situation, Liverpool are most likely to score. So I think it's something we have to persist with. I don't think it's really done us any harm, but it can make a game uncomfortable if the pressing and the dual battles are sluggish. If we're sluggish from the start, like we were the first 15, 20 minutes, then it can be a real grind for a football fan such as us to go through in that first half.
And is that how you looked at it? Is there more criticism of Liverpool in that situation and the tactics? I thought we were atrocious. I've never seen McAllister that bad. I'm not gonna lie. That was the worst 45 minutes I've ever seen McAllister for Brighton, for Argentina, for Liverpool. That is the worst set of 45 minutes I've seen. I don't think Trent was far behind in terms of worst. And I don't think anyone could hold their head up high. Even Gravenberch had his poorest 45. And Szoboszlai. Our midfield had as a trio their worst 45 minutes, and therefore the front three we didn't really know if they're in form or not, because they got zero service. Nunes created that chance for himself. I disagree with Keith. It wasn't through anything. It was just Nunes's brute force and just made that chance. Apart from that, we were just atrocious.
Look, I think from midweek, I think we got that tactic. The tactical setup in that one was way better than one we decided to go with on Saturday. We went with like a 4. It was a 4-4-2 when it looked at the tactical whatever website it went on. But through the game, you could see it was a 4-2-2-2. So we had players in different zones through the thirds. Every time they broke into a third, there was players there. They broke into another one. We had players there. It probably helped massively that we had 2 holding midfielders midweek, where in this one, Wataru's he's a holding midfielder. I'm sitting in here and I'm mopping up and I'll just pass it. Morton, similar style of player, has a bit more technical ability within him, so he could do a bit more. But with McAllister and Gravenberch, they can do that role. Obviously, they've done it throughout the season, but they're not defensive midfielders. So when it came to them breaking through our thirds in this game, it was like, oh, let me go and chase here, let me go and chase there. But it opened up space for other players to kind of have free roam. You're right. In terms of, they got into good areas, but they didn't do much with it. It's not like they were, shooting from, and Keller was overworked and, he's telling off everyone and saying, come on, guys, block a shot, whatever. They just looked dangerous without being dangerous. I think we should have went with what we did on the weekend. In midweek, because I was looking going, if we add the better quality players within this setup, I think we can get more out of the game. We just looked so dangerous midweek to now this 45. And yes, obviously we have to credit them because they played in the same game. The manager obviously looked at it and gone, yeah, I need to tweak something because we can't afford them to make the game this easy for them. Apart from the 2 mistakes we made later on in the game, in midweek, they didn't really have anything in that game. So they had to come in and prove a point and show that they were good. The setup I think they went with was more of a 4-4-2, had 2 players up front, which that means our 2 centre-halves were occupied with the 2 forwards, which means every time they get past the press that you were talking about, they had the wingers wide, they had the 2 in the midfield. So it was basically a 4 versus 2 because we only had the 2 left if you beat the first press with the 4 guys running on. The problem with that is, and I think we might have to get used to it as fans and maybe tweaks it, he's gambling on we're going to have more players in the defensive half. But once you guys, if you do break down, we then win the ball back, we're going to have 4 players in your half and it becomes a 4v4 potentially if their fullbacks don't go. So it's like a gamble, and we've been gambling, with this setup for a few games. Look, we've won them. We can only critique it and we can only try and find ways to improve it. But yeah, I'll just give credit to Brighton in the first half. But at the same time, I still think we should have went with what we did midweek. I think that setup against Brighton we controlled them a hell of a lot better. 4-2-2-2. So the wingers weren't wide men going up front. They were like left mid and right midfielders. Then we had the 2 holding midfielders. Then you had the 2 strikers playing as 2 strikers. So yeah, we obviously went back to the 4-2-4. And yeah, it does mean if you beat the press on the 4, it leaves 2 guys. But in his mind, it's 6. We've got 4 defenders and 2. So if you press with your 6v6, but if we win it on a turnover, potentially it could be a 4v4 or a 4v2 in our favor. So yeah,
it was. Yeah, I think you're right. It was one of those attacks that leads to the opening goal, Conroy, and what a strike it was. It seems to be like the goals that are scored against us have to be stunners, literally, right?
Yeah.
And this was another stunner. I mean, we saw him in the Euros play amazingly for Turkey. But what a strike, what a goal.
Yeah, no, it's seriously good. I think I saw a comparison. It was Hudson-Odoi, which is also an absolute belter. To be fair, that was ridiculous. And then this one, I have to say though, people sometimes always look for criticism, but this to me, to hit that early, you played football as well, to hit that early and get the direction on that hits one post and goes to the other, to catch, I wouldn't say catch keeper off guard. It's just that good. It's that ruthless a strike so early. I think sometimes you got to put your hands up. We can always look for mistakes, but I did think that was outstanding, to be honest. And against the goalkeeper, who has also been brilliant for us. Yeah. Let's not forget, we could talk about the chance that I think Rutter has, or whoever has it for Brighton just after that, made massive saves this season, and he got nowhere near it because the strike was just hit it so, a deadly strike, I would say, ruthless. But some goal, and again, I don't know if this player is going to be another star for Brighton or another gem, but they seem to just find them, and it's getting to the point where it's kind of crazy. As we said earlier, Grizz, I also wanted to make the point as well, just when Ends makes some really good points here, it's like, see on Brighton were very brave, and they also back the passing ability to do that. I don't think there'll be many Premier League teams who, one, they might be brave, but I don't know if they've got the actual technical ability in the players to continuously do that so that they're not going to get caught at the other side. So I can understand that logic as well, that you might not face a team who's going to be that brave every week, because as they've showed a few times, they will do that. So I think that was a really interesting point, Enzo, about the 4 against 2 with the centre-backs, with the 2 strikers, because I found that at times as well, that one striker would drop deep, get the ball, and if you can time the pass right, just like the chance, you can get in behind. Don't get me wrong, it has to be like the perfect pass, but that's what they were banking on. So that was very interesting. But yeah, some goal, Grizz, and I mean, he was a left. Is he a left back or a right back?
He's a right-footed left back for Turkey.
Right. Okay.
A marauding wing back, ferocious tackler, energy. But Brighton, at Anfield at Liverpool, he decided to ignite his right wing. Antonio Valencia style wing play,
Mate, that's FIFA, Chris. That's like your player's injured. Keith knows what I'm talking about. Your player's injured, right? You've got quite a fast fullback. Put him at right mid for a game. Crazy.
Mate, I don't know where he came from. In terms of, I know where he came from, but in terms of Brighton have snapped up another gem. He was one of the outstanding players throughout the game. He was so good. Just a reminder on the where's it gone? Just a reminder on the likes, man. What's going on, man? Not even 100 likes yet. 75 likes. Are you lot mad? There's nearly 200 of you guys in here. Let's get up to 100 likes ASAP, please, right now before we get into more chat. Yeah, man. LFC Aaron's in the building. Hit the like button, everyone. Yeah, look, they take the lead. What are you thinking? Because Keith, at that stage, I think City already 1-0 down. Arsenal have lost. Are you confident? Are you watching the game? Be honest. What's your feelings through the game? Are you?
No, I'm not confident at all.
Are you panicking now?
No, I'm panicking, to be honest with you. I thought it was such a bad first half performance. And it just had the air of a team that, once again, which has been the theme of Liverpool, put aside the Premier League winning teams, our Champions League winning teams. Let's talk about the last couple of years. And that's kind of been a theme of our seasons. You know, we get into a bit of good momentum. We see a few teams drop points around us. And then all of a sudden, we just lose a game that, 3 o'clock kickoff where, we expected to win, as far as I'm concerned. We just went to the Amex. We just won. Brighton have showed up with injuries and key players missing. And once again, and it's something that I think Slot's going to have to deal with longer term, because he's referenced it a few times. And I think it is a bit of a problem. There's something about this team that sometimes, if they don't start off sharp, if they don't win their first duel, if they don't create their first big chance, if they don't really, the passing, like you were saying before, Trent Alexander-Arnold, there was times where a simple 5-yard pass, he passes it and to Brighton, and then Brighton counterattack us. When we get into this little bit of a rut, we don't really know how to get out of it as much. So it is a big concern. I think. What
was your suggestions? What was going through your head at the time to try to get out of it? I mean, my only positive, like Leighton says, was this can't get any worse. We cannot be any worse in the second half. Like, that was my only insight.
For me, I think it was, you are supposed to be right. Again, you play some of the highest paid players in football. Like, surely you can figure it out that actually we're seeing a team. We're talking about Brighton's bravery. We're saying how brave they were being and how, sharp they were being and how they were passing in between the lines, etc., etc. But you should be doing that to them too. So all I was thinking about, the only thing I was going to change was, hey, maybe put some glasses on, go to Specsavers, maybe, I don't know, get some eye drops or contact lenses or something, because, we've had a little bit of a temporary blindness when it comes to the way in which we were building up possession. That being said, Grizz, as I said before, I did still think that Brighton, the problem is, the biggest difference between Brighton and someone like a Nottingham Forest, like Nuno is built for these kind of scenarios, right? Go away to Liverpool 1-0 and just fucking, build that brick shithouse of a defense for the remaining 45 minutes. Brighton are not. And I kind of feel like Brighton's bravery and Brighton's way in their philosophy of playing, I believe, ultimately was their downfall. Because at 1-0 up, right, ultimately, you're still committing players forward, you're still playing brave, you're still giving us gaps. And eventually, Liverpool will kind of figure it out, because we've just got world-class players on the pitch to do so. So, the only other thing I was thinking was, I kind of hope that Brighton continue to play this way, because usually that only ends one way when we kind of pull our finger out. But yeah, first half, I was saying, mate, forget about the title. Forget about title. If we're going to be performing like that and playing like that, going 1-0 down all the bloody time at home, it's clearly Slot likes to play away from home. God knows why. But, it was a really, really, really poor performance. So I'll get all the negativity out of the way so we can be positive on what was an amazing weekend.
And I'm joking. I did have some tactical insight in what to do at halftime, and I think he listened. I was adamant that it's Maka and Szoboszlai off, and Curtis Jones and Luis Diaz on. I thought that's the way to go. Now, I didn't know in my head, so I didn't tweet it. I didn't know in my head there's an echo with someone. Let me see who it is. Is it you maybe? Okay. I didn't know who to put in the 10 instead of Szoboszlai, whether it's Gakpo or Diaz or even Salah. He decides to put Diaz in the 10. and obviously Curtis Jones comes alongside Gravenberch. Was that the turning point, or was there something beyond that, before that? Because Ganto says it took a little hothead. I think it ends his echo. 1 second, stay there. Don't touch nothing. Don't touch nothing. Yes, ends his echo. It took a little hothead like Estepunian on Trent to ignite the crowd, and the team took it from there. Like we've seen this before, where an incident ignites the crowd. I thought Szoboszlai's challenges in the second half, like he wasn't any good on the ball, but he went around thundering into challenges and revving up the players. There was that Trent incident. Everyone just seemed to just be a bit 10%, 15% more aggressive. Was it just a matter of just being more aggressive and into it, or did those changes change anything tactically in your head?
How's it now? Is it gone or?
Yeah, it's gone.
It's gone. Okay. Yeah, I think it's a bit of both again. I think it's, upping the ante a bit, being a bit more aggressive, being a bit more, having your presence as well in the game. We can't have Brighton have it their own way. You can't just have midfielders being able to receive it on a half turn and having a great day and going, this is quite easy. So a few strong challenges, that player now knows I need to look over my shoulder, because he's not going to allow me, or these players are not going to allow me the time and space anymore. But bringing on someone that can control the game like a Curtis Jones, his kind of criticism or critique most people have is he holds on to the ball for too long. Obviously, we'll get to, how we get our winner, but, he didn't hold on to the ball for too long in that moment. And then bringing on Diaz, the work rate, the skill, the dynamism that he has just playing in the 10, I think it just worked a treat, man. He was just, they couldn't pick him up because he had the free-ish role and they kept interchanging. And
do you like him in that role? Do you think that's moving forward? Do you think that's a role that he could play? Because we seem to be persisting with Szoboszlai. Now, the reason why I think we've discussed this before as well, he likes his number 10 or that person to be aggressive, physical, energetic. And then he's obviously talked about goals and assists. Diaz has all of that, no? Don't you think?
But you know what? The problem is...
prowess.
No, do you know what it is, Grizz? The problem is when we see stuff as fans, and I'm a part of that, we'll see it and it'll work and we're like, let's just go with this again. But sometimes it's just in the moment, that game, that precise, when he comes in and it works. It's an idea to use maybe in the future when we, if we go into games where we're struggling and go, do you know what, it worked last time, let's throw Diaz in there. But he's an out-and-out left winger. He's tricky, he's skillful. He's got goals. He's created some chances and got a few assists this season. So I'll leave him out there. But I feel like it's something I would like to see, but only if the game requires it. I feel like someone else could go in the 10 apart from Sobo. Maybe it is Harvey when he comes back. Maybe it is McAllister to probably try and get the best out of him because he hasn't been at his best. I don't know. Maybe it even is if we go into January and get someone, and then maybe Gravenberch gets the opportunity. Who knows? I don't know what the manager is thinking, but I don't want to just throw Diaz in there just yet because of this, 20 minutes, 25 to half an hour. I don't want to just throw him in there and go, this is the fix. We've solved the issue that we've got in the 10. But yeah, for me, personally, man, I'm very calm with Liverpool this season. I just watch them and I go, okay, poor first half. Let's see what we can do in the second half. I believe the players and the team have the ability to change any game at any moment, which we saw. It's just about how we apply ourselves tactically, and the players, do they want it enough? And yesterday, I won't say yesterday, not even yesterday, Saturday, the team showed that they wanted it enough. They wanted it. Players stood up. I'm sure we'll get into the Mo Salah tweet that he made. A lot was said in that, in terms of is it just him saying he's leaving? Is he staying? Whatever. But the first bit I liked, talking about being top of the league. This is where the club belongs. I believe that's where we belong. He believes that's where we belong. So the mentality is there, man. I think that's what it's going to take. Not every game is going to be easy, guys. Not every game is going to be easy. We're not going to have it our own way, regardless if we've got the better players. Some managers are very tactically smart in this league. Yeah. And that's why, the quote-unquote claim is this is the best league, because, any team can beat you on the day. As Conroe said, man, how good Bournemouth played. Semenyo is one of my favourite players in that team, and he makes football look so easy. But the manager, they're doing great stuff. You've got Brighton, you've got Newcastle when they run it on a day. Their midfield can, easily win you a game. Isak and stuff like that. But for us, man, we just have to take care of our business. But we have to start better. And I don't know what for me personally, what the idea is, how we can start better. Maybe just getting the combination right. I was saying this yesterday. I think the combination we had in the first 10 games could be perfect, but maybe the combination needs to change again in terms of the midfield aspect. Maybe we have to rejig it for the next 10 games. And then maybe it works for that, and we have to rejig it again for the following 10 games. I don't know what that looks like, what that combination looks like, but I know one thing, grab a merchant, then you can throw whoever else you want, the rest of the players in and around that.
Conroy, that first half was a thing of the past. Best way to put it behind you. You're only 1-0 down. It's an opportunity. You get an early goal, and then you're hoping you play better, and then you're hoping the momentum takes you over the line to go and get a winner, because by now we had heard Man City were 2-0 down. We get a fortunate equalizer from Gakpo. By the way, Gakpo was the best of our forwards in the last few games.
Really wants it now. Really wants it. You can tell that he's wanting the ball, demanding the ball. Yeah, demanding the ball. That kind of, it's not a half space, but you know, the corner of the box area where he scored his first goal against Brighton. He does that move for the past 3 years, does it for Netherlands, does it for Liverpool. But right now, he's striking the ball, is so on it. It's reminiscent of his time at, it was PSV, was it Feyenoord? It was PSV, yes, guys, yeah. Yeah, that was what he was notorious for. And I feel like he's very confident, because let's not forget, just before we equalise, he has a strike that just goes wide, or a little bit. The keeper's flat-footed, but it's still, look, he's going for that. He's confident right now. That's more an individual brilliance thing, I'll be honest with you. And that helps that we've got him confident right now, because he looks brave. He's not hiding. He wants the ball. And that's sometimes been criticism of in the past, not doing enough. So I'm impressed with Gakpo right now. And I think that's why we're having these conversations about if Luis Diaz can play in the 10 at points, because how can you take a man who's playing that well out of the team?
Can't.
And Diaz is not playing poor either. This is what I'm saying, Grizz. The poorest players right now are probably the central players, as we mentioned. So Bosley, potentially McAllister. So as much as I agree with ends, this is why these conversations are happening, because you feel like that's the best chance of us scoring. So find a way to get them on the park. But yeah, Gakpo does well. Cuts in, the box is loaded by this point, delays it slightly, whips it to the back post. Nunes goes for it, ducks, to be fair, and it lands in. Very reminiscent of Mbeumo a couple of weeks ago for Brentford in the last minute against Wolves last weekend. Last minute, keeper's flat-footed because he thinks the player's going to head it, but like Nunes thinks he's going to head it, lands in the bottom corner. And I don't know about you guys, but I was buzzing because I felt like we needed something like that. I know people say the Trent thing. I don't know if I'm falling for that. I felt like it didn't feel like it was going to come. I feel like we needed something that just either that or a great strike, a 30-yard screamer. So I was buzzing, and I felt like it was a massive moment in this tie, because I felt like when that happened, the tide changed. You guys might disagree, but that, to me, that's when it felt like that. Because as I said before, Grizz, to you, we talk about this all the time. Brighton have done so well, but the stuffing just gets knocked out of them, even if it's for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and then it's like that's when we go for the kill. So it was a lucky moment, but if you don't buy a ticket, you can't win a raffle. And Gakpo right now, seriously, there's a few players we can talk about in this game, but I think he's absolutely on it, Grizz. And see the goals during the week. If he can be consistent, like, he can be an absolute menace. I mean, because a lot of defenses leave that little space, and he just seems to be very, very, very clever at the moment, and his decision making seems to be absolutely. What is the word? Optimum. I feel like he's everything he does right now is working correctly. So yeah, massive moment.
I don't think anyone would disagree with you, right, Keith? In terms of Conroy saying that was the turning point, because we scored. We're back in the game. It's like, okay, we're level now. We have, enough time. I think half an hour at that stage to go and get a winner. The players knew that the celebration was very short-lived. It was like, get the ball. We have 3 points to get at all costs. By now, the crowd was lit. I'm not gonna lie. I was sitting in the prawn sandwiches area, but I was behaving like a lout. I was getting told off, and please tone your language. I didn't give a shit. I was going mad at this stage, Keith. Curtis Jones, I think Enz wanted to speak about Curtis Jones, but I'll give you the first opportunity. Curtis Jones picks up the ball. And one of the things, obviously, is the most obvious thing that we criticize Curtis Jones about is his directness in situations. We think instead of like, there's A to C, right? And usually it's like he goes A to B, B to -1, to B to -2, and then to C. You get what I'm saying? Whereas instead of A, B, C, Curtis, come on. Maybe this was the momentum of the game, the crowd, the atmosphere. He decided to use his very, very a good talent of being able to drive and dribble with the ball and beat players, and with strength as well. He'd done that, and then he chose the right pass at the right time. We'll pause there. We won't go on to the main man for now, but Curtis Jones was instrumental.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I'll say about the whole, like, you know, maybe he holds the ball a bit too much. He hardly loses it.
Yeah,
you never see Curtis Jones lose the ball. You know what I mean? You know, all right, he might take one too many touches, but you never see him lose the ball. You see him dribble past players. You see him get himself out of tight situations. And you know what it is, yeah? That was the difference between when we played Curtis Jones as an 8 in Szoboszlai's position versus playing Curtis Jones in the midfield. Because in the midfield, I feel like he's a lot more combative. And I think he's so much more effective coming from deep, driving with the ball, taking a couple of men out, using his close control and being able to protect the ball, to take the ball out of deep situations into transition. And that's why I think that's where his best position lies at the club. I think the other thing to probably consider as well is that, you know, at the moment, you know, he has to start ahead of McAllister. You know, I think McAllister, we've got to start taking a bit of a stand when it comes to this South American thing. Like, I get it. I know that the guys love to go back to South America. They really ride for their national teams. You know what I mean? Playing for Argentina, you know, this is going to be one of the last times he can play with Messi, etc., etc. But he should not have been on that plane in the last international break. And he's not come back the same since. And now we're going to send him on the plane to the international break again to go and play another internationals. And I feel like this constant, like, and the thing is with McAllister is that because he gets involved in so much, he's like the Diogo Jota of the midfield, right? You always see him writhing in pain because he gets kicked, he gets sniped out, something happens to him. So I'm sure that guy is just the walking wounded, like even 10 games into a season. But he needs to be protected. And until he can get back to a level of fitness and form that's going to make him effective for Liverpool, Curtis Jones absolutely has shown him up the last couple of weeks. I mean, this is not the first time that Curtis Jones has taken it from deep dribble pass and set something up or scored himself. You know, this is becoming a regular occurrence. I thought he was great against Chelsea when he started at home. You know, I thought he played well, but he started alongside Endo, did he? I believe he started in the Brighton game as well. And I think, you know, he just continues to grow. And the thing is what? He's only 24, 25 years old. I mean, he's coming into his prime as a central midfielder. The only thing that stops Curtis Jones is Curtis Jones due to his injury record at the moment. But the qualities that he has is what we currently need, particularly when we're playing teams that want to be brave. Because, again, that kind of sequence happens because Brighton once again go into transition against us. And I think it's Virgil that wins a tackle. Ball gets crossed in. Virgil wins a tackle, and then it goes to Curtis Jones. And now Brighton have overcommitted, which is what I was saying was going to be their downfall. This is the version of their downfall, unfortunately. It's gone to 1-1. Now they've gone into chase mode again. And when you've got someone like Curtis Jones who can skip past you guys, all of a sudden that you've committed your transition, you failed. Curtis Jones has got the ball. You're not getting that ball back of Curtis Jones. And the way that he dribbles through that center of the park is a thing of beauty. And now he's added the extra weight of pass that maybe he probably didn't have a couple seasons ago. That's making him even more dangerous now and even more impressive. And, you know, I've championed that Curtis Jones should play for England. I think he should start for England. I think he is the missing key to that midfield in England. And I hope that they continue to be ignorant and continue to be blind to Curtis Jones so he can be fresh for Liverpool. But at this moment in time, he has to start. And I think he has to start on Tuesday.
And the ball he plays is to a player that we've discussed and you have had opinions on, and people have asked me to ask you to speak on Mohamed Salah. I believe, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you wanted him sold a few weeks back.
Incorrect.
Okay, no problem. I tried it. Is that not true? Did you not say Mohamed
No.
Salah is the one that you would let go? Okay, maybe I didn't. Maybe you didn't give it context. But look, we said that he's not playing the best football. Yeah, he's putting up numbers. When he scores a goal like that, though, right? Because not many people can do that. I'm not gonna lie to you. What does it say to you in terms of what this guy is, man? Because this guy's someone put up the stat where I read the other day in terms of goal involvements in games. I mean, it's literally nearly 1 in 1, like goal involvement per game. That's just fucking ridiculous, Hens.
Do you know what? So I'll clear it up, and I'll try my best.
Defend yourself first, because I tried to get you beat up there.
Yeah.
Virtually, not physically, of course.
Do you know what it is, man? I said it was last season. Just watching certain performances, and I'm just like, I know he's great and everything, but I'm always looking at the future. Like, what does the future hold? Can we get someone in now to make the team play slightly different, to make the team play more as a team instead of solely being Salah FC? Because at the moment, sometimes in games, that's what it feels like. He gets most of the opportunities. You know, when he's having a bad game, he affects us massively because obviously he's a part of the team. And, you know, he's the guy that's meant to kind of be helping Trent out from a defensive aspect. So I'm watching his game. Like, goals and assists is just a part of his game. I can't critique that. There's nothing I can say about that. What I can critique is performances. So when I'm watching games and players are going by you, you're doing a half-hearted little run back, and I'm seeing Trent just getting manhandled and overlapped and 1-2s around him. I'm like, yeah, that's normally where we need to help doubling up. I'm not saying I need you to always be there, but I want to see you be there and try and counteract some of these things. You know, not holding up the ball sometimes, not in the game, but then you'll go and score a great goal. And what I can't do, and that's the part of, you know, being in the football space, is I can't just forget about it and not being able to speak about it, because I don't feel the energy is the same across the board. And I feel like we do that as an injustice to every football player. If you just go, do you know what? I'm not even going to speak about performances as long as the players score. You know, football is about performances, and when you perform better, you will score more goals and you get more assists. And a Mo Salah that's in the game and enjoying his football, the game becomes so easy for Liverpool. Everything else is easy because now we know there's 2-3 players they're gonna have to go and mark him, because now if you don't, he's scoring a hat-trick or he's getting a couple of assists, but there's games when he's just not in it. So from a performance aspect, that's where I critique him. I can't critique the man that scored how many goals and assists for us as a club and helped us win these massive trophies. He's done it for years. He's scored important goals. But it's a team game at the end of the day, and he can't score these goals without his teammates. So yes, he can get the plaudits because his name is in the light and his name is on the record, but it's a team sport to me, and that's the way I look at football. I never look at it as an individual sport. If that's what it is, and we do singles in tennis, we play some snooker, as you alluded to earlier. Football's a team. It's 11 men on the pitch, and each of us have a job, and each of us has a role, and we have to help him to achieve what he's achieved. And I feel like sometimes the fan base just think it's solely him that's doing everything. And like, for him to score some of these goals that you guys are seeing, someone has to have given him the ball. You know, how many solo goals do you actually remember where it's not us with the build-up and then he's the guy at the end of it? Maybe a couple in Man City, but even with one of the ones against Man City, it was an Alisson long ball, spins a guy, still great work from him. But that's just mainly been my issue, just performances. It's not the man himself. It's not the player, the legend he is. It's just the performances, and we have to critique it. So, yeah, at one point, yes, last season, I said, yeah, no, because I'm looking at the team going, we're solely just operating on one side. If we change that, adjust it, can we be a better team going forward? You know, many would say when we had Suarez in the team, we got rid of him, got rid of Torres, Gerrard left, Alonso, which is one of the guys we're going to speak about today. All of these great players left the football club. We changed and we adapted and we got better and we won. We still won the trophies. So it's just me trying to look at the future and going, yeah, if we do that, does the team balance out? We had that period in January when the team looked balanced, scoring great goals. And, you know, when he went to AFCON after, obviously he destroyed Newcastle. But after that, we had a balanced run where everyone was getting it. The team just looked a bit more free flowing, a bit more balanced. Everyone was doing. But when he's in the team, it's like, just give it to him. He'll do something great. But sometimes that affects the team in a negative way. sometimes it does affect the team in a positive way. But this season, I've seen a few more negatives than positive. But listen, he pulls us out all the time when we need him to. So I can't argue with people saying, look, shut up about him. He's the greatest. He's the king, whatever. But I will not say my piece. If I think he didn't perform well, I'll tell you. If I think he performed well, I'll shut up and say it was great. He did this, he done that, and he scored a brilliant goal. But that's the way it is. I can't do the thing where I just forget stuff. I can't do it. It's not a part of me, and I feel like as fans sometimes we do that. Because as long as you score now, performances don't matter. But we talk about football, so how can we do that?
Conroy, Enz has given his opinion and given context to my slanderous accusations. Where are you at with Mohamed Salah, this contract situations? Do you see where Enz is coming from? Because I don't agree with everything Enz says, but I absolutely understand what he's saying. You know, like someone says, like, this guy's a phenomenon. He's not your ordinary. I don't think he's anything like players we've let go in the past, like Coutinho's and your Alonso's and all this. I just think this guy's a different level and a different stratosphere. So I do think we should go that extra mile to keep him. But I just wanted your opinions. It's not my opinion.
Yeah.
Let's just share our opinions here.
Well, and do you know what? I think I actually do agree with a few points as well you said, Enz, because I think that's a generic thing in football. You could have a 0 to 10 and you score the winner and it's irrelevant. That's why I'm so glad. I'm not saying he had a 0 to 10, but I don't want to hear Mo Salah man of the match against Brighton because, let's be honest, not a great performance. Anfield was kind of getting on him a little bit, not on his back, but gave the ball away in a good attack, done that, had a poor game before. I've openly said quite a lot of times you can tell straight away when Mo Salah has a poor game, and it's not as if he's amazing all the time because that's not the truth. But the problem is, and this is football. Football's a simple game. It comes into brass tacks. If your ability to play terrible or play average and score, that's his biggest strength. It's been his biggest strength for his full career because I'm not saying every game's like that, but there's a lot of games where he's like that and he has the match winning moment. That's like gold dust in football to have that, because it's all good to say not being part of it. And I do get what you're saying, Enz, but they just don't come in trees. You know, you spent 60 million on Nunes, who's meant to be a prolific goal scorer. He's not that. So it's to have something like that. It's a bit like what's the opposite of kryptonite? Like you've got something there that's like it's unique in football to have that. So I feel like I do get what Grizz is saying. If you can adjust your setup slightly to do that, I think it may be worth it. However, I did say previously, though, I still think Trent's the most important one. And I've said that openly. To me, that's the most important contract situation because you need to look to the future and I get that. But it's all good to say, just let Salah go. But then there might be a bit of a gap because you've got someone who's proven in the Premier League to continuously score, even when they're not playing well. So if you have a season where it's maybe has poor spells in games, poor moments, and then has a really good 5-10 match run, but he's still scoring. And to be honest, especially when you're a team like Liverpool, if you're scoring, it's a good chance you're going to win the game. And to me, I think there's both points from both your points. I think there's good points from both. I just think that's what I've accepted now in football. I watched that game at the weekend and I know Mo Salah didn't play well. Let's not lie. He didn't. But when you're scoring the winning goal, it puts you 7 points clear of Arsenal. Efficiency is everything. Effectiveness is everything. And that's what it comes down to. Really, that's what it is. It's not as if it's Mo Salah himself against 11 men. He's not playing for a terrible team, playing for a good team. So if you can create opportunities or give him opportunities, it does make sense to me to continue to do that. My biggest fear was you let him go. And I think there's some shouts for like getting someone like Mbuemo in. That's great and all that. But I think you need to give someone like that time as well. And I don't think to let Salah go and let that person come in is fair. I think an ideal situation was to get someone in and let them both be there and then do that. But we'll see, mate. I don't know. The more he pulls these moments out, these highlights of games, just like, I just don't know how. I just laugh. I'm watching this game thinking he's not being great. And then he just gets the ball and it's like, you couldn't have put it more in the corner if you tried. Like someone said it's a R1 circle PS4 finish. 100%. Like it's finesse.com. And I was just laughing. I wasn't even saying that. I was laughing. I was like, he's actually just done that. So no words, guys. Just some player. And I think if I've changed my opinion, if you can get him even a 2-year extension, I think you need to do it because I think Slot's Liverpool might be a little bit ahead of schedule. And if we are, we really need to capitalise on that. And then that probably changes his mind as well, because that means there could be, touch wood, a few more titles, a few more cups in the trophy cabinet, and that might be and like the individual records as well. Henry, he's close to Henry now. He just took over Fowler for Liverpool. So there's a lot of incentives there. So that's my take on it, mate. Went on a bit, apologies.
No, it's good. I mean, look, he is the talking point right now, along with obviously Trent and Virgil as well. But obviously after that goal, and it was a special goal. Keith, where are you standing on with this, the Salah and the importance to the team and moving forward? Because I get everything. I'm not one of these guys or fans that is blinded down one alley. Salah, 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 Salah FC. But neither am I not one of those that doesn't know the importance of Mohamed Salah and Liverpool Football Club the last 7 years, because he's ridiculous. Like, we've had Suarez, Torres, Coutinho, Alonso, all of these mans leave, but none of them have done what this guy has done. And strikers, I mean, including strikers, this guy's a right winger. Don't let anyone tell you he's a striker. He's a right winger, and he's put up those numbers from right fucking wing. But I also get we do have to look forward. I'm not stupid enough to think, no, we can't. We have to do whatever we can until Salah's legs fall off. We do have to look forward. So I do understand that aspect as well. Where are you right now, though? Because every time we say, me included, forget Enz, forget Conroy, forget anyone else, me included, the one who's asking the questions, me included, I sometimes ask the question, maybe it's time now. Maybe it's time to let him move on and we bring in the newcomer. Every time I say that, every time I suggest it and put it out in the air, Mohamed Salah comes and does something mad. Like, I came out of that ground so gassed, and it was all because of Mohamed Salah. Because I witnessed him right behind that, get the ball, I was right behind it, and how Conroy's describing it was that. And I'm thinking, before that, I'm thinking, yo, Mo, Estepunian's bullying you a little bit here. But his game intelligence, see, the thing is, when your powers wane, your game intelligence takes over. And I'm gonna be honest, and I didn't know he had this level of game intelligence in him. I don't know.
The reality of the situation is we're in a scenario where we've never been in this situation before. Let's call a spade, right? Liverpool in probably much all of our lifetimes, whenever we've had a player this good, they have either injuries have kind of overtaken them, they've slowed down. Steven Gerrard, I look at him, he probably had one swan song under Brendan Rodgers, but other than that, his body kind of, fell apart on him as time went on. Or you have the scenario of your Suarez's, your Xabi Alonso's, could go back as far as Steve McManaman, Michael Owen, right, where these players that they've just come on the cusp and they've thought, wow, I'm at the highlight of my career right now. I'm going to go play for Real Madrid because I feel like this is a stepping stone. Mohamed Salah has done neither to Liverpool. We've not been a stepping stone insofar as he's come to Liverpool. He's killed it when we've not won anything, but he's persisted and he's won us the trophies. And then when we haven't been winning the big trophies, which we haven't the last couple of seasons, he's still persisted. He still played for us, regardless of the fact that Saudi Arabia were throwing 3% of their entire GDP at him. He still persisted to stay at the club, right? So the way I look at it is kind of like it's been so refreshing to have a player that has been the best in the world for so many years be so loyal and so dedicated to Liverpool Football Club. It's so rare these days to have a player at that magnitude not want to force a move to someone like Real Madrid or Barcelona. When I look at the fitness, hardly ever injured. Yeah, he had a drop-off last season. It was probably the first time he ever dealt with any type of injury issues. And the sooner he retires from Egypt, the better, in my opinion. But that's another story. Always fit, always available, always playing, always can be trustworthy. How many times can you say that about many players in these type of positions at the highest level? So he's got the fitness, he's got the respect, and he's got the numbers. We're talking about, we need to bring in the next. Who is the next? You look at the tables right now. Mo Salah has the second or third highest assist in the Premier League, and he's the third top goal scorer in the Premier League. Who's doing it? Mohamed Kudus isn't doing it. Jared Bowen's not doing it. Who's the other? We got this Amarouche guy coming through, Eintracht Frankfurt. Nice player, I'm sure. There's so many players that look good on their day, right? That you could go back, you might watch a couple games, think, right, this guy's going to be the next big thing. Ultimately, he puts the numbers up. He's efficient, and I don't mind. To be perfectly honest with you, the one thing that I'm quite enjoying and I like, and I hope that it continues, is I don't want us to be so reliant on Salah, so reliant on Trent. The evolution of Liverpool is going to be when the likes of Cody Gakpo are going to start to take the bull of the horn. The likes of Nunes, your Jotas, your midfielders, your Curtis Joneses, these kind of players, they're the ones that we need to see take more responsibility to win us football matches. And then Salah can have a bad game and then pop up with a bender into the top corner. The last thing I'll say is I just think we're completely sleeping on his playmaking ability. I think the last 2 to 3 seasons, I think as a playmaker, we talk about last season ends, and I know I can understand, because I had frustrating moments with Salah, particularly after January. But when I watched back, there was someone did a clip showing all the chances that Liverpool missed last season. How many of them were from the passes of Salah? How many times has Salah played Darwin Núñez in, hit the bar, put it over the post, hit the keeper? Gakpo misses the chances. Jota misses the chances. Like, puts it on the. He's putting it on a plate for players. And I think because of what Grizz, you alluded to, that game intelligence, that playmaking ability, the Trivela outside of the foot that Lamine Yamal has started to use himself these days, all of that for me says that he can still be a vital part of our team in the next couple of seasons. Now, the question will ultimately become is the man versus the reality. Because at some point, even if he doesn't sign a new contract, there's going to be some point where he's not going to start every game. There's going to have to be some point where we are transitioning and maybe a new player into that particular position. There's going to be a chance where we might have to blood in someone new. And can Salah accept his change in role and responsibilities at the club? But I would rather have Mo Salah at Liverpool Football Club for the next couple of seasons than not have Mo Salah at Liverpool Football Club for the next couple of seasons. And I don't mind. I think he's earned the right for the money because he will pay back. He will always pay back. And yesterday, on Saturday, was the perfect example. There was no one else that was going to cut in from the left-hand side in that moment and bend it top bins. Nunes had his chance and he hit it straight at the keeper. That's the difference. That's ultimately the difference. Two players, very similar chances. One does that one does the other one, because one of them is still, in my opinion, one of the best football players in the world. And I think he's going to be one of the best players in the world for a couple more seasons yet. That is kind of my thing. I think, give Salah maybe not exactly what he wants, because I think he should be the top paid player in the club. No, I think Trent Alexander-Arnold, and I'd like to come on to him when we're talking about a man of the matches. Trent should be the top paid player in the club. He should be number one. Salah should accept maybe lesser terms. Do you know what I mean? Then this is what the real battle is going to be.
Yeah, definitely.
Ego versus the reality, and the reality is now, Salah, is that you are one of the best players in the world, but at some point you've got to give the opportunity to be the second guy or the third guy in an evolution that is going on at Liverpool.
Can I just add quickly to it? When you said, I feel like with Liverpool though, sometimes we do leave it too late. And I agree. I think he should stay, and then we need to get someone in that can replace him. The problem is you will never know if that player is going to be good enough until he leaves. And if we have to wait for that moment, I don't know. Does that guarantee more trophies? Does that guarantee, top level performances? I guess that's just something for us to kind of speak about in the future. But we kind of never will know, because at the moment he is our talisman. Yes, he is the right winger. He's not a striker. And yes, the other guys have not proven that they can take the reins, the mantelpiece in terms of like being the leaders of this club going forward. But we will never know, because he's such a big figure, such a shadow above the rest. But when he doesn't play, I've seen him perform. I feel like the weight gets lifted off of him slightly. I don't know. Can that last in a consistent period of time? The only time I saw that was last season when he obviously was away at AFCON, and then the injury kept him out for another month, I think. We saw players stood up and shined and scored goals and, performed against the big teams as well. But I don't know. It's just one of those things. But yeah, 100% he needs to stay and get someone else in the meantime. But I don't know. Is the club going to be paying him some mad amount of money to what that looks like? We have to wait and see. But sorry, Conroy, you're going to say something.
Yeah, no, it's. I'll not spend too long on this, guys. I just meant to say as well, Keith's point about the comparison with Núñez and Salah. I think as well, you got to remember, because Salah's been in these moments and maybe missed in these moments and scored, he's got that experience. And I do think that is a big thing as well, that he's maybe fearless in the sense. It's not like a young player, but he's been there, he's done that in high pressure situations.
Núñez has missed his fair share.
Yeah, no, yeah, but I mean, but Salah's scored in those big moments. You know, scoring a Champions League final, Chelsea, the goal like that cuts in. Like, he's had those moments. Man City away, Champions League quarter final, chips the keeper. I feel like in a pressure cooking environment, you could see that he's still quite refreshingly smiley about it. I know his head smiley, but he tries not to get to him too much. And I feel like you only have that because he's just of the body of work and experience he's had. And as I say, going back to the earlier point, Keith said as well, if you bring someone in, it's like to get that amount of experience and be where they are. That's why this effectiveness and efficiency has got. It's like, I can't remember the word I was going to say, guys. You know, it's like it's the opposite of kryptonite. It's like something that's like euphoric, and you can't buy it, if you know what I mean. It's just like, it's not, you can't go and buy out can't buy someone in transfer market like that because nothing's guaranteed. So that's where I'm at. But I get the point, Ends, because you don't know, mate, if you need to just. I would say our current squad is doing well, though. I feel like Gakpo has stepped up. I feel like Diaz has been good. So I don't know if we're just thinking of Núñez when we think the rest haven't delivered, because even when Jota's playing, I still think the other forwards look good because he's link up at times. So maybe we're focusing too much on Núñez and not the other forwards, because I actually think they've been pretty good this season and have stepped up, in my opinion. So we'll see. We'll have a better picture by the end of the season, I feel like, on that conversation about the other forwards.
I think we'll have a better picture on the Salah situation.
Yeah, well, maybe
December and Trent as well. I mean, look, it's tense times. The situation is what it is. I think the fact that we're on top of the table and in this mad run, I think it's slightly giving the owners and the people in charge a bit of leeway and time to sort this out. But bloody hell, they need to sort this out ASAP, because the moment the results don't go our way, then all of the attention and the focus and the fury will be on the contract situation. It's like they've caught life, isn't it? The owners and the people in power have caught life. That, okay, we have to praise them for choosing the absolute right man for the job to replace Klopp. But there's this three dark shadows hanging over them in terms of the contracts that they need to get rid of. Because if those dark clouds, if one of them even opens up, there's a hell of a storm. There could be a hell of a storm coming tomorrow, people. Leverkusen, man. There's no rest for the wicked, boy. And Slot's Liverpool are the wickedest right now. We got game after game, and every game is vital and important. And tomorrow's Champions League. I believe if we win tomorrow, we're pretty much certified.
Yeah,
done. We're khalas.
Agreed.
Next round. Is that with 3 games to spare or 4? Does anyone know?
4. We have to play 8 games, isn't it? So that'll be 4 games left.
So that'll be 4 games left, I believe, to get 4 points, because 16 points guarantees you go through as the top 8. So if we get tomorrow, that's 12 points. We'll be 4 points away with 4 points to go, with a couple of tasty home fixtures. What are we saying? Enza, come to you first. What are you saying then? Because this, I don't think it's too controversial to say. Villa on the weekend could be one of the most. Again, I've got another feeling, guys. I'm telling you now. Next weekend could be a madness. Man City play
Chelsea, Newcastle. Which one of them?
Shit, no. My mind's gone. Chelsea play Arsenal away.
Mm-hmm.
And Man City, someone in the chat tell me right now, Man City play Brighton.
Brighton.
You hear me now? Brighton away, and Arsenal have Chelsea away. Liverpool have Aston Villa at home. For me, next week, we have to. I don't give a shit again about the performance. Let me tell you again. I need 3 points next week and see where we are at the end of it. Ends, taking in that consideration, what are you saying for the team lineup tomorrow? Or are you saying, nah, bro, momentum is king, etc., etc.? What are you doing with the lineup tomorrow? Hit me with a lineup.
Obviously, we got to keep Keller in goal, aren't we? So there's nothing we can do about that. Trent stays at right back. Ibu, great that he's not injured, man. So that's fantastic news. I can't lie, because we can't have him down, especially with the forwards they've got, Schick and Boniface. These guys are strong, aggressive forwards that, given the opportunity, they will score goals. So we need him. Him and Virgil been a phenomenal partnership. I think Tsimikas justifies his position, but it was Tsimikas was leading the Champions League. Robbo was the Premier League.
That's what I'm saying.
I think he might have shifted it now. I think he might go Robbo Champions League, and now Tsimikas is the Premier League. So I'll go Robbo left back.
Okay.
In the midfield, Curtis Jones comes in for me. I think it was Keith that said, was it you or Conrad? So forgive me who said it, but I think McAllister needs to, either go in the 10 or hold the bench. I think Jones needs to start with Gravenberch in the midfield tomorrow. Soboslai replace as well, so I'll probably give it to McAllister just to see what he can do, give him a bit of confidence, because I think we're going to need a player in the likes of Florian Wirtz. We need someone that's going to create these opportunities, man, these slick little passes to feed our forward players.
So you're putting McAllister, instead of Soboslai in the 10.
Yeah, and Jones comes in as the double pivot with Gravenberch.
Not resting Gravenberch or anything like that.
No. I know there's a lot of things about players getting rested and stuff like that. These guys are athletes, prime athletes. They can't just play 90 minutes and we're like, oh, let's just wrap you up in a cotton wool. Play the game, man. Do you know what I mean? There's substitutions in the game. You can play 60, get substituted.
Grab every single game without taking him off his body.
Well, Braver's been playing the midweek game against Brighton, did he? He had the whole day off, but he was watching the phone while out with the missus for some reason. He should have just, you know what I mean? Salah plays on the right. Diaz, I go left. I think he will be a better opposition up against Jonathan Tah. But he's a good defender if they're going to go with the back three. And then we only have one fit striker, so we have to rely on him, even though Keith don't like him.
Do we though? Do we though? But look at what Keith said about the form. And you actually said about the formation. Do we have to play Nunes?
Yeah, because I think it's a slightly different opposition to Brighton. Yes, Leverkusen are a good team. They sit fourth in the Bundesliga at the moment. They've got 7 points in the Champions League group stage. So what's that? 2 wins and a draw. So they're not doing bad, but they're not doing as good as they were, say, last season. We go game to game. So I think it's a slightly different team. We need someone that's going to control it. And I think there's going to be gaps in there as well in the midfield areas. It's just the wide areas I'm more concerned about. If they play like Frimpong as a wing back or what's his name? Remind me of their left wing back. But Grimaldo. So these are good. These are good players that can, Frimpong more of the carrying the ball, getting into good areas. But the other side, we're talking about great deliveries, and then you got Boniface in there. He's really good at holding the ball up and giving the opportunity to score. In and around him, you're going to have Florian Wirtz, one of the best creative young 10s in the world right now, and he will hurt you. The spaces that we were giving up, he will hurt you. So we're going to need 2 players in there that's going to work and control the game. And I feel like McAllister's slightly gone away from that side a bit. Maybe just lack of confidence, maybe lack of sharpness. We can add different things in there. But I think Jones and Gravenberch could potentially deal with that. Similar job what Jones did against Palmer when we played Chelsea. That's the kind of role I want him to kind of do on Florian Wirtz, because we allow this guy to play. It could be curtains early.
Alan, mate, what kind of best friend are you? You should know I'm live and you're phoning me. But it's all right. Yeah, this is my best friend, lads, and he doesn't know I'm live. All right, speak soon. Bye.
Didn't click on the video at all. That means he hasn't liked it either, Grizz.
Do you know what I mean? Conroy, very quickly, the lineup, if there's any changes. You don't need to go through the whole team. If there's any changes, let us know. And same with Keith, because I want to ask you about what kind of reception will Alonso get, do you think? But go on with any lineup changes.
No, I do agree. I actually think Tsimikas will start. I think what you've seen in Champions League has been like one plays 60 minutes or 65 and then the other fullback comes on. He seems to do that in the Champions League quite a lot. So I think it will be that, to be honest. We can have a conversation about Robbo going forward, but I feel like he probably needs a bit of a rest anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if he does start, but I feel like Tsimikas is in good form right now, and they'll probably, in advance of the game, say 60, 65 minute, make that change. Everything else I'd agree with. I think Núñez will play just because I'm thinking there'll be a bit more space. I might be wrong with the way Leverkusen play, but I'm expecting it to be a bit more space than a team who's going to sit in. They're going to try and play football, so I think that suits Núñez. So I kind of agree with what Enz is saying there. The only thing I would disagree with is I think he will play Szoboszlai because he just seems to love. I think, Grizz, you mentioned at the start, he just plays him because I think he wants his 10 to press and put so much energy and pressure and defensively be as good that I just think he'll continue to play him. And I understand some of the criticism, I really do, but I think it's maybe just because of lack of options there. I do get McAllister could play there going forward, but I just think in this very much moment of time, he won't do that. So that's the only one I would disagree with. And Alonso, quickly on that, yeah, I'd say is a Liverpool legend, and I think he'll get a great reception, to be honest. I think you look at what he'd done as well. Keith mentioned earlier, we didn't consistently win things. We had spells throughout the years, and Istanbul was obviously right up there. And I just think a lot of Liverpool fans wanted him to be the manager in the summer. You never know, that might happen in the future at some point, but for me, a legend, and I think he'll get a very good reception.
Keith, any changes to the lineup and Xabi Alonso returning?
Yeah, all I will say is Jones comes in for McAllister, and I think Diaz comes in for Gakpo. Other than that, I think he keeps everything exactly the same.
Konate or Gomez?
I think he'll go Konate. I don't feel like managers like to change centre-back pairings in Premier League, Champions League games when it's working out so well. And I'm not a big fan of chopping and changing centre-backs all the time. Like if you do it, if you have to. Otherwise, the back two consistency breeds confidence in the rest of the team. So no real issue with Konate, bring him straight back in. Gomez played amazing, by the way, against Brighton. I thought his cameo appearance was excellent. He's definitely knocking on the door. But
Tsimikas, Robbo?
Tsimikas starts, again, like he did against Brighton, I think.
So you want to go basically full strength tomorrow and full strength against Villa? Full strength,
both hand side. The Villa will be an interesting chat. I'll be interested to see, like they say on Love Island, where's your head at? Because getting beaten 4-1 by Tottenham was a bit of a hammering, and it's quite an eye opener to see where their head will be at between Champions League and Premier League. On the topic of Xabi Alonso, legend is probably a bit of a strong word. I'd probably use cult hero. I thought in the time that he was at Liverpool, he did
Champions
really
League, no?
He won the Champions League. He won the Champions League with us and played, had a good season, but we were considering shipping him off for Gareth Barry around that same time. So, I thought he got better for Liverpool after the
I'm going to do a Twitter poll, actually. You just reminded me. That's going to be a fantastic poll. Xabi Alonso, club legend, cult hero. Is there a third option?
Maybe say icon.
Icon?
Yeah, I think icon's fair, Keith. I think cult hero's a bit unfair. I think icons. Yeah.
Jimmy Traore is a cult hero.
Yeah,
I'd say we'll go with icon. We'll go with icon. Yeah, club icon because he won the Champions League.
Scored the penalty that equalised. Massive moment.
Pushed us quite hard for the title of the following season. I thought was
is it club legend though? You're right though. I don't know. I'll be interested to see how the Liverpool fan base votes. I think we might go for Alonso.
You're going in the Carragher route because Carragher always says Alonso's remembered so well because his first season and his last season.
Yes.
But in between, he was quite inconsistent. But then I think sometimes because he's such a good footballer and he went on to be such a good footballer as well, it's sometimes.
That's right.
But moments, this is what I mean, Keith. We talk about history. Do you remember ends? You don't remember a 90-minute game of football 20 years ago. You just remember the highlights when you rewatch it.
The long scoring from across the halfway line. Those are just things that just stay in your memory. 2 halfway line goals. The only player I think ever in England to score a halfway line goal, and then his next goal was against Newcastle, was also from his own half. That's crazy, man.
He paganed us for Real Madrid, but we'll forgive him for that.
That's a good vote. Keith. I like it now because I said legend, but you've got a good point. That'll be an interesting vote. Yeah.
My out there comment for me for this game. Obviously, I know we've not got much time left to say, but I think maybe we talk about it on this show. No, maybe we talk about it on the next show. I'm very, 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 very interested to see Trent Alexander-Arnold tomorrow because I think he's well on his way to being the best right back in the world defensively.
Oh, okay.
Right now.
Interesting. I thought he was superb second half, by the way, defensively. So I'm backing you. I'm backing you on the towards. Yeah, a few obstacles in the way. I think you're right to mention his defensive display because I've been cussing him. Everyone's cussed him defensively. I thought he was superb that second half.
9 out of 12 tackles, 1 more tackles.
Yeah. He didn't let Mitoma breathe in that second half. He was on to him every time.
Something's changed, and I want to see
application, Keith. Application. That's it. He's applying himself now. That's all that's changed. It's not no miracle. It's not magic water. It's not a magic spray. He's just now applying himself because he actually, when people get onto him about, you're great going forward, but this side of your game sucks. You need to fix that. And I feel like now he's understood. For me to get the accolades you're talking about in terms of going on to be this guy, you got to fix that side of your game. You can't just be out here spamming, your long passes, and then we're gonna put you on this pedestal when you retire. But fix up that side, and if he does it, then fantastic, man. But tomorrow is going to be it's going to be a test.
Yeah.
It's going to be a test.
I feel as though we may have to ask the same question we asked Salah about Trent to ends next week as well, because now a lot of people in the chat will be on to me about ends. Is he really a Liverpool fan, this guy you've got on? You know what I mean? But listen, Trent spamming crosses, Mohamed Salah flukily scoring goals but doing nothing else. Liverpool are top of the table, people. Liverpool are smoking right now. Champions League qualification is 6 points away, I'd say, with 5 games left. Aston Villa await us on the weekend. More content awaits you on the weekend. I will try to do a post-match reaction at a suitable, reasonable human being time, as opposed to 10 past 1 a.m. in the morning. In fact, the people in is it the Southern Hemisphere, Keith? Australia, New Zealand, Northern Hemisphere.
Australia, New Zealand.
Is that Northern Hemisphere or Southern Hemisphere?
We'll go with Southern Hemisphere.
We'll go with. So you don't know. Does anybody know if that's the Southern Hemisphere or the Northern Hemisphere?
They were definitely awake though.
Sounds about right. We'll go with that one. Just shove that in.
I'd hate to be partners with Keith in a fucking game show, man. This is $1 million question. Yeah, we go.
No, just go with this one.
That sounds about right. £1 million.
Sometimes it's the right one though. Sometimes it is. Just go with the gut one. And
guys, is Australia, New Zealand Southern Hemisphere or Northern Hemisphere? Please, Southern Hemisphere.
Yes, Australia is in the Southern Hemisphere. See, that's why you need to call me, bro.
So we got
phone a friend.
No risk, mate. No reward. No risk. No
I got you. People in the Southern Hemisphere were waking up and saying, "Yo, Grizz is live. Oh, this is unbelievable!" Like 1 a.m. in the morning. But people, check out. Make sure you're subscribed. Put your notification bell on for the content. We'll be doing post-match reaction tomorrow. I don't know how many of these are going to be with me, but I'll pester them afterwards. And let's hope Liverpool are there or thereabouts. We are definitely in a title race. We are definitely in the Champions League race, I'd say as well. It's good times again, people. It's tense times again, but this is where we want to be. Peace, love, and tranquility.